that was the Irish slip jig Rocky Road to Dublin, played on electric guitar in two difficulties. The first being kind of all in one position in the middle range of the guitar, the second being all on one string leaping around, but underpinned by the open string acting as a sort of pedal underneath all the other notes. So it requires a bit more technique, but they're both fairly difficult to play accurately. But the first is more intermediate, the second is more advanced. And here's a quick lesson on each and how to get it clean, how to get it sounding good, and hope you have fun playing this great tune. Here we go. So level 1, we're in B Dorian, at least in my version, and that's so we can use the open B string for the level 2 part. I think the Dubliners do this in C sharp, or sort of between C sharp and D, and the Sinners movie I think is in C Dorian, so all pretty close to each other. So here's B Dorian. And we can play almost the whole tune in this position without having to move. There's just a couple of places where we leave out the 6th of the scale, or the G sharp, and this results in a hexatonic or 6-note scale that is quite common in Irish music. So and it's almost a pentatonic scale, but with the addition of the 2nd, or 9, which makes it sound much folkier and less like that awful first scale that you learn on the guitar. So I hear the first bar as a pickup bar before the melody starts for real, so it's there to kind of grab people's attention before we're properly starting. And we're in 9/8 time, or 3 groups of 3. So 1 2 3 2 2 3 3 2 3 1 2 3 da 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 da. Other than a couple of bars a bit later on, but we'll get to that. So here's that first pickup bar. And I'm starting with my 3rd finger on the 11th fret of the G string, and then pulling off onto the 9th fret, and then picking the last 3 notes. So 12, 11, 9 on the D string. Then we start the tune for real with the 3rd finger on the 9th fret of the A string, going up to the 9th fret of the D string. And I'm avoiding doing a bar there because I find it much clearer and cleaner to just use different fingers, and you'll find that with a lot of my playing. So that's the first phrase, and that comes back again later. And I'm picking almost all of the notes, and I'm going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, like that. Except for the odd part where there is a bit of legato playing, or a few hammer-ons in this case. And that's here. And again, that's just for smoothness, fluidity, and because it sounds more melodic. So then we get a repeat of that phrase again, but just slightly shorter. So the first one was... Then we get... So it's the same, just with a little bit cut off the end. And we go straight to what you might call the B section, or the second idea of the whole tune. And that goes like this. And again, you'll notice I'm not barring, even though I'm playing the 7th fret of the B string and the E string. And again, it's just because I find it cleaner, clearer. So you could go... But I prefer to go... with my middle finger. Just remember, if you are doing that barring, roll your finger over so the strings don't ring into each other, otherwise you'll end up with... which ruins the clarity of the melody. So then we get these pull-offs here followed by that hammer-on again. And that's a good example of a place where we're missing out the sixth of the Dorian scale. So instead of going, we're going, which gives it that hexatonic 6-note scale character. And then we go back up with that hammer-on, and we repeat the same idea again, nearly. And then we get actually a bar of 4/4, not 3/4, which is here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then a bar of 3/4 before the chorus. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So it's worth being aware of, because that can be a bit of a snag in the road if you're not prepared for it, because then suddenly everyone ends up a beat off with each other. So then we get the chorus, which is the hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road and all the ways, that part. And actually, musically, the melody is the same as the verse. So which is almost a pop music idea of the verse and the chorus being very similar, or almost the same actually. It's just the sort of the weight of it that changes. And another thing to be aware of here is the only difference with the verse is that the chorus ends with another bar of 4/4. So the chorus is bookended with bars of 4 amidst all the bars of 3. And this one is just at the end to give singers, I think, an extra beat before they have to start the verse and start all the rapid singing all over again. And even though my version is instrumental, it actually does still work quite nicely, because it just adds a little bit of extra pause before everything kicks off again and gives it more structural definition. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how it goes. So that was level 1. As I say, kind of intermediate level. This is level 2, which is more advanced, requires a bit more technique, jumps around a bit more, but see how you get on. Maybe you find it easier, I don't know. Here we go, level 2. So in level 2, the tune is of course the same, but played almost entirely on the B string. So we get this constant pedal of the open B in between all the other notes, underneath everything. And there's not really too much to say here that's any different to the structural points I made for level 1, but you are sometimes playing one note fretted and 2 open, so that's this kind of thing. So of course that requires 2 pick strokes per 3 notes, because one of them is a pull-off. And then sometimes you're playing 2 fretted notes and 1 open, so that requires just 1 pick per 3 notes. Which is that kind of thing. So there is another part that's worth being aware of, as it's slightly different in terms of the playing, and that's here. And that comes at the end of the chorus and verse phrases, and I'm sliding up from the 12th fret to the 14th fret with my first finger, then hammering on 15, 17, and then sliding up with the 3rd finger to 19 and carrying on with pull-offs like before. And the reason I'm doing it like this, again, is for fluidity and smoothness, and to make this part of the melody sound really legato and clear. And in the context of the whole tune, it's here, so... And finally, the last part that's worth me making a point of is that B section, as I referred to it earlier. And when we do it in level 2, on the B string, we end up all the way up here, on the 19th fret with the first finger, going all the way up to the 24th fret. So then we get that slide again that I just demonstrated with the first finger, but then we have to shift quickly back to the first finger to get back up there. And the reason I'm not doing all of that on the top E string is, again, I want to be able to pull off certain notes onto the open B string, and that's not possible if I did it on the E string. So that's why we end up all the way up here. Then there's also a small trill I've added myself just because it sounds nice and folky, and that's here. And it's a slightly odd fingering, but it's... And then first finger on the top E string, hammering on with the middle finger, then the third finger down on the B string on the 22nd fret, going up to the little finger on the 24th fret, and pulling off. So slightly awkward, but adding a nice Celtic ornamentation to the whole thing. So there's the whole tune in both levels of difficulty. Try both, see how you get on. If you've got recording software, you could try layering the two. They actually go quite well together, because that's a classic folk thing, is different instruments doubling up on a melody in different octaves to really bring the melody out and hammer it home. So try that. You could try adding some heavy rhythm underneath it like I did if you want to go for a more folk metal, folk rock kind of edge. Because that's what folk music and folk tunes are all about, really, is adapting them, trying different things with them. You know, that's how they end up morphing and often turning into other tunes or turning into other versions of the same tune, you know. So it's all about that kind of adaptation. So yeah, hope you have fun with it. Thanks for watching.